Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Gavilon Garage, where we don't know anything, but we'll fix everything. Today we're going to be changing a wheel stud on a 1994 Ford Ranger XL. The wheel stud broke, as you guys can see right here. And bought a replacement, the local auto parts. Here it is. And we're going to take you along for the entire course of this fix. So we're going to start off by removing the lug nuts. Next thing is we're going to push out these pins here to get the caliper off. Do a little persistence. We got the second pin out. We gotta decompress the piston. Okay. As you guys might know, you never want to just hang the caliper from the hose. So I brought this handy dandy charging cable to help us do the job. And we're going to hang it. Okay. Sweet. I'm going to then remove dust cover. So there's a cotter pin here. If you want to remove this, of course, doesn't spin. Fantastic. The world's best pliers. Got it. Okay. Oh, this is already. Oh, we got another little cover here. This is a 1 1/16 socket. Hopefully this does the trick. It's already loose. Yeah, I don't even need the socket. Easy peasy lambo squeezy. This then pulls out your bearing and your seal. You want to hang on to these. We should now get the rotor off with another seal on the back. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and pound this through. Just like that, we got it. Flip this guy over. Here's a broken one. Here's the broken one. Close. Very, very close. Got it in here. Oh. Right about. Maybe a little more. As you just saw, not the best method to remove the stud, but hey, it worked. I even considered going to my buddy's house. He has a press, but it was a lot easier just using the new stud to kind of get the other one going a little bit, and it came out pretty easy. You can see the new stud here. I'm not 100% mechanically inclined, but I definitely have a passion for this stuff. You know, just take a stab at it and go from there. So here's the final result. The new stud is in. Just need to clean it before we install it back onto the truck. So we're gonna put the rotor back on, and before I do so, I'm actually going to put a little bit of grease on the bearing, just so that we have enough lubrication. Should be good enough. Take the rotor and start it like this. Then we can take our bearing and our seal. And I'm gonna put a little bit more grease on this guy too. Go. Then I'm going to put on our nut. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and tighten down this nut, and the recommended torque says between 18 to 25 pounds while turning the rotor the opposite way to seat the bearing. Okay, there's 23 pounds there. Then we're going to back it off half a turn. If we can do this here. So half a turn would be there, and then we retighten it again. And there it is. We're gonna stay at 23 pounds. We're gonna insert our cotter pin. I got this at AutoZone. I'm gonna match up the cotter pin that came out to the one that's one of the ones in here. Should be, I think, an 1/8 by 2. But we'll take a look here. And I think this one matches pretty well. Go with this one here. I had placed a cotter pin already and I forgot this dust cover, so I had to take that one off, put this dust cover, and then put a new cotter pin. So make sure you remember to do that before you put the cotter pin in, or you'll have to do it again. Here I'm just trimming the excess tails on the cotter pin and then making sure that it folds upwards so it doesn't slide out. I am I'm now untying our handy dandy charging cable that's been holding up a caliper. You can use a bungee or just any kind of material that you can tie it up against the spring there so that the caliper doesn't hang loosely and it doesn't damage your brake line. Very important step. I want to add a quick note on this particular section here. So you see me trying to compress the piston a little bit more against the brake pad on the rear of the rotor so that the caliper can slide in. You'll see it slide in here fairly easily, but later in the video you'll see that I have to kind of pull it back out and readjust it because it wasn't sitting well. Double checking those pins just to make sure that there's no difference between the top and the bottom, or if it should go through the rear or the front. That one kind of goes in halfway fairly easily, but the bottom one you'll see that I'm going to have a little bit of a trouble trying to slide it in. Eventually start hammering the pin in to the point that it gets wedged and it doesn't move, and you'll see me trying to wiggle it out here in just a moment. There I am trying to wiggle it out, it doesn't move at all. So then I eventually start hammering it from both sides, left and right, and wiggling it out slowly, and it eventually budges out. So just trying to save you guys this hassle and this pain point here. Make sure the caliper is sitting right. I did notice the front, or the brake pad on the front side of the rotor, was sitting a little bit off, so that made me believe that something was just not right. So here I am trying to compress the piston as much as I can, a little bit more. You see the caliper slides out, and then I'm making sure the brake pads are sitting right as well. Slide it back in, and I believe this time I do have it in the right place. Still confused about these pins, double checking to make sure that they're both one and the same, that there's no differences at all between one or the other. That top pin slides in fairly easy, and I believe this time's a good one, so the bottom pin should also slide in very easily. Still a little confused on those pins, so I'm just trying to back it out, make sure I have it in right. Just double checking once again, everything looks the same. Trouble putting this pin in, and I just decided to kind of skip that part, put that dust cover back in. So here's the part where I finally get it adjusted right. I think I just had to pull it out, pull it back in, compress the piston a little bit more. You'll see the pin now goes fairly easy. I did have to kind of massage it a little bit there with the hammer, but then that bottom one finally slides in. I am using a ratchet extension here to help me push it in, and we're finally good to go on mounting the tire. A quick reminder, always tighten your lug nuts in a star pattern. You can see here I am going in a star pattern. I'm also torquing down each lug nut at 100 foot-pounds, again in the star pattern here. Alright, so that concludes the replacement of the broken wheel stud. You saw there at the end I torqued each of the lug nuts to 100 pounds. That's the recommended torque for each of the lug nuts. And I actually just replaced all the lug nuts yesterday, so I'm just going to go around all the wheels and make sure that all of them are still at 100 foot-pounds. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, share a like, give it a thumbs down, whatever you like. We're new to this, but if you've enjoyed the video, I appreciate if you share that with us. And thanks for watching Gavilan Garage, where we don't know anything, but we'll fix everything.